Countries that eat more chocolate win more Nobel Prizes. That's real data. So, if you want to get smarter, should you eat chocolate? The more X, the more Y. Your feed is full of it, and half of it is a trap. So how does an economist tell the real from the fake? The professor opens this chapter by saying, relax. Today's an easy one. It's barely on the exam, but the truth is, this is the chapter that decides whether data fools you for the rest of your life. Today, we're not memorizing a new formula. We're borrowing one habit from an economist's mind, and it comes down to this. Correlation is not causation. When this ends, half the more X, the more Y headlines in the news will start to look like traps. That's the promise. First, let's clear up a myth. An economist isn't a fortune teller who predicts the future and not an oracle reciting answers. Economics isn't a pile of facts to memorize. It's a way of reading the world. So when an economist sees a strange pattern, instead of pretending to know the answer, they get curious. Why are people suddenly doing that? You remember Tom, the shopper picking coffee, the cafe owner, the island chief. Today, Tom is a detective, magnifying glass in hand. Spot the phenomenon, ask why, form a hypothesis, test it against evidence. What we're really learning today is that method of investigation. Tom's investigation runs a loop. Spot something strange. Say, iced coffee sales went up in cold weather. And first, you form a hypothesis. Why? Maybe people crank the heat so homes get warm? That tentative explanation is the hypothesis. Then you turn that hunch into something testable. That's a model. Economists usually build it as a single equation. Let's peek at just one. The famous economist Keynes saw people spending like this. There's a baseline you spend just to survive, no matter your income. And on top of that, spending that grows as income grows. It's one line. The intercept is baseline consumption. The slope, B, says how sensitively spending reacts when income rises by one step. The equation itself doesn't matter here. What matters is this. An economist doesn't say, I just feel like it's this way. They build a testable structure, then check it against data. That's the first step of the method. Now, the moment you try to test something against data, the biggest trap is waiting. This is the heart of today. In data, you'll often see this. Two things that move together. X goes up, Y goes up, X goes down, Y goes down. That tendency to move together is called correlation, and the instant our brain sees it, it draws an arrow. X causes Y. That's causation. Here's the trap. What the data shows you is almost always just correlation. Causation is an interpretation you lay on top, and that interpretation is often wrong. Let's walk through 3 traps, one at a time. Trap 1. You look at a city's data, and the years it hired more new police are the years crime was higher too. It trends up. Draw the naive arrow, and you get, we added police and crime went up, so should we cut police? That makes no sense. What went wrong? The arrow was pointing the wrong way. Crime rose first, so the city hired more police. Cause and effect were flipped. That's reverse causation. This happens more than you'd think. The bigger the fire response, the bigger the damage. The fire trucks didn't cause the damage. It was a big fire, so they sent more trucks. So here's the first bit of training. Don't assume the direction of the arrow for free. Ask, could it be running backwards? Trap 2. A school checks the numbers, and students who own a smartphone have higher average math scores. Naive conclusion. Phones must boost math. Kids, go ask mom for a phone. This time, flipping it feels weird too. They didn't get a phone because they're good at math. So what is it? There was a hidden third variable. It's family wealth. A well-off family buys the kid a phone and also pays for tutoring and cram schools. So wealth lifted both sides. The phone and the math score weren't causing each other. They were two results of the same cause. A third variable hidden behind X and Y, moving both, is called a common cause or a confounder. And here's why it's dangerous. It's by definition hidden. Not seeing it is normal. So the second bit of training, ask, could there be a hidden Z moving both of these? Assume it might be there, even when you can't see it, and go looking. Now, back to the mystery we set up and hid at the start. Countries that eat more chocolate win more Nobel Prizes. Real data, I said. In fact, it's a famous figure published in a medical journal back in 2012. So what should you ask about this arrow now? Just apply what you learned. Is it backwards? Do you win a Nobel and then eat more chocolate? No. So then, the hidden Z is a nation's wealth. Rich countries consume more treats like chocolate, and they also have more money for universities and labs, so more Nobel Prizes. Chocolate and Nobels were both results of the same cause, a wealthy country. Chocolate never made anyone smarter, and 15 seconds ago you almost nodded along. Huh, guess I should eat chocolate. That right there is the moment of mistaking correlation for causation. The statistic is real. Nobody lied. We drew the arrow wrong. So here's the thing I want you to carry out of this video. When two things move together in the data, before you believe this is the cause, ask 3 questions. I'll call it the 3-question filter. 1. Is it backwards? Could Y be causing X, like police and crime? 2. Is there a hidden Z moving both, like phones and math scores, like chocolate and Nobels? 3. Is it just chance? A tiny sample or one lucky match out of countless comparisons. Compare enough things, and some correlation always turns up. Clear all 3 gates, and only then do you have a causation candidate. A candidate. You still need a mechanism, why X would cause Y, and when possible a controlled test before you're near certain. And that's exactly what clicks into the hypothesis plus model plus data loop from earlier. This filter isn't just for economics, news, health articles, self-help investing. It's a lifelong nonsense detector. Let's run it on a real one. A manager looks at the numbers and says, teams that have more team dinners perform better. Everyone, schedule more dinners. By now, you should be able to smile at that. Run the filter. 1. Is it backwards? Maybe good performance gave the team the mood and the budget for dinners. 2. A hidden Z? Maybe one good leader plans the dinners and drives the performance, in which case the dinners aren't the cause. They just showed up alongside the result. One pass of the filter, and you can already see 2 holes in that snap conclusion. More dinners probably won't lift performance. Tom the detective has a note. Manager, that was a bit hasty. Today's second habit. This one's easier. Statements about the economy, really most claims about the world, split into 2 kinds. One is positive. What is true? What actually happens? A claim you can test against data. Just think is. It is so. The other is normative. What is desirable? What we ought to do. That's a value judgment. So it varies from person to person. Think ought. It should be. Why split them? Because people constantly dress up an opinion as a fact. This is just a fact, they say. But listen, and it's often a value judgment. Once you can separate fact from opinion, you can see whether a debate is a fight about facts or a fight about values. Just knowing that settles half the argument. But there's a trap here. The same subject can be positive or normative depending on the sentence. Take, we should raise unemployment benefits. That's normative. Should makes it a value judgment. Now take, raising benefits by 1 percentage point raises workers' happiness by 5 percentage points. That's positive. It's a measured relationship with no judgment of good or bad. They look similar, but they're completely different kinds of statement. So keep one set of signal words in mind. Should, ought, desirable, fair, too much. When those show up, it's normative. What inheritance tax rate is socially fair has no answer you can settle with data. That's a value we choose. Whereas cheaper gas raises car purchases is positive. You can check it against data. Not mixing the two. That's the second habit. Last, let's zoom out for one big picture. Economists carry a shared set of tools into every one of these judgments, often called the 10 principles. We're not learning them fresh today. Let's just see, quickly, how they connect. There's no free lunch because resources are scarce. So whenever you pick one thing, you give up another. That's opportunity cost. So you don't judge all or nothing, you weigh the benefit and cost of one more step. Thinking at the margin. People respond to incentives, and so, when it's good for both sides, they trade voluntarily. Look, these seem like 5 separate rules, but they're really one logic. Things are scarce. So giving up happens. So you weigh each step. So incentives work. So exchange happens. Everything you've learned isn't a scattered list to memorize. It was one line of reasoning all along. So, today in one line, a pattern in the data is a question, not an answer. Moves together is never causes. The person who knows that difference doesn't get fooled. For life. Let me add one honest note. Saying correlation isn't causation to wave away all evidence is its own kind of laziness. Correlation is a clue to causation. The job isn't so ignore it, it's so ask the 3 questions, find the mechanism, and test it. This filter isn't a tool of cynicism to believe nothing, it's a tool of humility to not be fooled too fast. Here's today's homework. Pick one news headline you ran into today and run the 3-question filter on it. Could this be backwards? Is there a hidden Z? Could it just be chance? In that moment, you go from someone who reads data to someone who questions it. That's been how economists see the world. From the next episode, we take these habits and step into a real market, how people's preferences become demand and get coordinated through price and quantity. The details begin. See you then.